Tuesday at 5:30, this coming Tuesday.
We were gonna have a regular meeting that day anyway.
Tuesday.
That would have been our regular meeting.
It would have been, yeah.
That's what I had on my calendar.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was our regular meeting date. I was sort of, yeah. Okay.
How you doing, Joe?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Uh,
it is 6 o'clock, so we're officially calling to order the August 20th school board meeting. Please join us for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The mission of the Pioneer School District is to educate each student to the highest levels of academic achievement and prepare students to succeed in life. The vision of the Pioneer School District is high levels of learning for all, every child, every day. First, I do know that we had a written request to address the board. And I believe Jeff has met with Susie. Let me make sure I say that right. Susan? Susan, okay. To address those concerns. Is there any additional comment or request to address the board? Okay. Up next, do we have any changes and or additions to the agenda?
No.
All right. We are now at the approval of the regular meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda?
I move that we approve the regular meeting agenda as written.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded to approve the regular meeting agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. The motion passes. Up next is approval of the consent agenda. Do we have any discussion? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, so that motion passes as well. Up next, we have Jolene's business operations.
Hi. How is it? Thank you. Hi.
Perfect.
Okay. So, you've got your budget status reports in front of you right now. Our budget extension was approved by OCI today, so that's an accurate look at where we are with our budget usage. So now, if you look at those first total line in revenue, we'll see on the bar right the percent that we've used. Last month was like 101%. This month it's down to 90. So that's, that reflects our increase in capacity and revenue. Same thing with expenditures. So Mr. Clark commented that, oh, did we really get that much revenue, the actual per month in July? And yes, we did. July is the largest payout apportionment for the year. It's 12.5% of the total. So July will always be, almost always be our largest revenue month, aside from the November or October when we get our big tax receipts in. So this month we're ending general fund with $368,000, 389. That's that's an improvement over last month. Talking a bit about capital funds at the last meeting. So this month we're ending after our payment to KCBA. We're ending our capital funds. Fund balance was $77,559. Debt services is not changed much. $809,716. We won't need to use any of those funds until our December bond payment. So I'm going to be learning about investing at the end of this month. I haven't. Part of the job is to invest the money each month, and it's not something that was taught to me. So I'm working with the SD on that. ASB, the total, for the fund, which includes the elementary and the middle school, is, ending July at $48,251. And then as we move into the year, I might flip that out, so you guys can see the activities between the buildings now that the elementary has, capacity to use their funds.
Thank you.
Let's see, is there anything else that I was gonna bring up? No, not at the moment, unless you guys have some questions.
Can I ask about the investing? What in particular, I mean, have you learned yet where our investing goes?
Yeah, so the county does it. It's the county, it's, most of the school districts in Mason County, just give direction to the county to invest X amount of dollars from this fund. And it's a short term, it's a monthly, you invest at the end of the month when your apportionment comes, and then you liquidate right before your next accounts payable and payroll hit. It's so those are things we can look at in the line item. I think it's on our actual fund balance, but in line items and revenues, part of it is, let's look. It's going to be, when you look at your revenue lines and any of your budget status reports, investments are going to be mostly in that 1,000, that first line item for revenue. This, I think it's that, I can't remember that actual code, but yeah. So that's where that's at.
Being short term, there's not going to be a lot, but there will be additional revenue
Each
over
month.
time.
Yeah, each month. I remember when, and ASB funds are invested each month too. And so it's a little revenue for ASB. It's a little revenue for the rest of the funds too. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Do we know how much we accrued in interest over previous years? Just to kind of have an idea of what the revenue might look like over the school year?
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me, but I can get that number for you, sure.
Thank you.
Right now, we have a total of $60,000 in investments.
Okay.
So
50,
60.
60, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any additional questions? All right, thank you. We are now at the superintendent's report.
So you have the one-page update in front of you that you can look through, and I just have a couple others. We are getting ready for next week, so Tuesday's all staff day, and you're all invited. We'll be here at 8 o'clock, and we'll spend the morning together with everybody. The Kiwanis Club will serve lunch that day, so again, you're all invited for that. We do our recognition of our staff on longevity. 5-year staff members get a pin, and then 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 get plaques. I think we have 3 staff members who will be at 10 years, 15 years, and 25 years that will receive a plaque. And then I think there's 5 that will get their 5-year pins. Also, and I'd mentioned it a little earlier, but we do need to schedule a quick executive session, and I'm hearing that now maybe Tuesday at 5:30 works.
5:30.
So we can make that announcement. It will be back in the district office in the that conference room.
Okay.
And then the rest of next week is in the afternoon on Monday or Tuesday. Staff will be released to their buildings, and the building administrators will have time to work with their staff we really are going to focus this year on giving our building administrators more time. So then on Wednesday, staff will go directly at 8 o'clock to their assigned buildings, and the principals will have a program to work with them that day. And then the same on Thursday. And then Friday is non-contract day, leads us into Labor Day weekend. Tuesday is a non-contract day, although if you drive by, you will see a lot of cars as staff get ready for Wednesday's opening of school. Transportation, we have continued to work with our co-op on getting those parents who signed their children up to ride buses on correct routes. We do have some routes that are very full, and then we have some routes that still have room for capacity. So I'm feeling fairly good about the transportation starting off in the year. Of course, we're always going to get late folks registering that could bump those numbers up. But right now, we are able to put everybody who has signed up on a bus. One of the things I'll be working with, especially middle school, is now that we are releasing at the same time on at 3 o'clock, there's going to be a lot of congestion out here. So we're going to talk about middle school possibly letting their students out 5 minutes early to get the older kids on the bus because they typically sit in the back. And then we can put our elementary students on 5 minutes after that in the front of the bus. If we put our littles on the front of the bus first, I'm just concerned about the older kids coming by and maybe playing whack-a-mole or something. So we'll see, we'll make those adjustments and see what we can do. But we will have everybody out at the buses now at the same time this year. So. Other than that, any questions?
I just had a question about the back to school night Thursday. Is there a specific time that starts?
5:30,
5:30?
yeah.
How, do you know about how late it will typically go?
7.
Okay.
And there, that is the back to school night for the majority of the district, but you will see that there is a back to school night specifically also for the 6th graders and their families on Monday, the 26th, the same time as well.
Okay. That's specific for them though. So don't, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Because
To welcome them in. Yeah, I love that. Okay, great. Any other questions or anything?
Good.
Okay, that takes us all the way to the discussion and action items. The first item we have is the approval of the 2024-2025 meeting schedule.
I might just remind you that we made the decision last week at our retreat that our 5:30 study sessions will be at the district office in that conference room. Our board meetings will still be in this building, in this area. And we'll make that adjustment when we publish this after tonight.
I'll move to approve the 2024-2025 meetings again.
Thank you. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. Do all in favor say aye? Aye. No opposed, so that motion passes. The next thing we have is the approval of the Mason County Cooperative Transportation Agreement.
Yeah, you have that in front of you, and and I also gave you a comparison of the old contract. The old contract had not been updated for years, and that's one of the things that Delphi wanted to accomplish before she moved on. So we've got an updated cooperative agreement, pretty much the same language as far as responsibilities of the co-op, responsibilities of the district. So it's just updating now, and there's been turnover, obviously, at the co-op with a number of directors. We do have, and I think I mentioned this last week, we do have a new director, Caleb Friend, has started, and he'll be the new co-op director. He's been out a couple times with Delphi to meet, but this new agreement will just update the work that we do with the 3 schools that are in the co-op, Southside, Shelton, and us.
So Jeff, I did have a question regarding that. So the moving forward in the new year, communication to the public about not having bus drivers or buses that are down Is that going to improve or was that specifically addressed?
Yeah, it got better towards the end of the year. The co-op, once we decided whose responsibility it was to contact our parents, it did get a little bit better. But we do have that challenge all the time of when the timing of it is. If a driver calls in at 6 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
sick, it's really hard, and the first pickup time is going to be 6:45 to get that message out on that route.
Right.
We will continue to work on getting that information out. On our weather days, we try to make the decisions as soon as we can. But you know, some of those days even are questionable because if we have to try to make the decision by 5 or 5:30, and a lot of it has to do also with food service because our cooks are in preparing breakfast early in the morning. So, you know, there's obviously days where we call a 2-hour late start, which most of the time we do that so our drivers can drive in the light. But there's times where we make the call and then 2 hours later, the snow disappears and it looks like this. And it's like, why'd you guys cancel school? Why did you have 2-hour late starts? So we always try to do the best we can, but always side on the safety issue because driving one of those big buses on those slick roads is, even with drop down change, it still is a little bit dangerous. So we did differentiate based on the accident last year with the buses on if there's a field trip and there's an incident, then the school will be the one contacting parents because we know what grade level is on those buses. But otherwise the co-op will be mostly responsible to contact parents if a route is canceled for the day.
Jeff, I noticed on the page 2, down at the bottom, and it's on the old one as well, but the district agrees to use the co-op as the exclusive source for all pupil transportation services. Does that include when we are transporting a one-to-one?
Yes.
So that isn't
Working
something that that has to be set up here. It's done by them.
We work in conjunction with them. We own the vehicle. The driver is typically our employee, but we'll use their fuel, for example. The maintenance vehicle will be up to them.
Sort of a shared.
And then we've also had conversations with Amy and Delphi have about, well, what if the person who currently is assigned to drive that student comes back and is cleared to drive a big bus? How are we going to fill that? And so we'll again work with the co-op. It may end up being a Shelton substitute driver that takes over. We will be working with them on that.
Were there any changes to the electric bus maintenance schedules?
No, we're still learning on kind of when fluids have to be changed. There aren't obviously as many fluids on those electric buses. The biggest issue will be battery life. And of course they're new, so we'll find out how long those batteries last. But I think I mentioned in the very beginning when we did commission those buses starting in March, that there were just a few glitches with some things that didn't work. You know, a couple switches didn't work. There were some warning lights that came on that there really was nothing wrong, but the lights were on, which alerted the driver, you know, to have it checked out. So it's a work in progress, but we are saving fuel with those 2 buses. And we'll
Are we
continue
still
to
able to get all the way through one run?
Well, yeah,
charge?
last year we did not have a problem doing 2 runs. Because in the morning they were fully charged. They went out. The least we had is we came back with about 61% left after 2 runs in the morning. And then we had the time in the between to charge up again. But keep in mind, it was in the springtime and we didn't get 30-degree, 25-degree days, which will draw some more power off of that
30%.
So we'll have a better idea when November, December, January, February hit.
Oh, that's doing.
But we're still expecting that maybe the offset will be 1 route. So they'll only go out one time in the morning, 1 time in the afternoon.
So that should be
So
better.
we think that'll be a trade-off.
I see on page 5, under 10.5, this section is highlighted as follows.
Yeah, that's the old, the red is the old language, and then the one's in your packet. So 10.5 residual balances. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't at this point in time had any residual money left balances, so.
With our electric buses now, we project that we would pay less here overall, we're saving on fuel and everything.
Yeah, the only thing we're doing with the co-op, the buses are ours, and we will also receive the depreciation, as we will with all of our buses. The electric buses over time will give us a greater depreciation from the state. The charging stations are ours, and those were paid for by a grant. The only thing on the electric buses we will really use the co-op for is that if a light goes out, a turn signal goes out, a stop paddle doesn't work, then they will fix those. But since there's no fuel, no minimal fluids, there's really not going to be a lot of maintenance on them. But the co-op will do the maintenance on those buses. And they're learning just like we are on.
Do they have other electric buses from other districts they're working on?
No, we're the only ones right now. Yeah. And there's no charging station up at the co-op.
Okay.
So the closest one is Walmart.
All right. Any additional questions or discussion? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the cooperative transportation agreement?
I move that we adopt the transportation agreement.
Thank you. Do I have a
second
second? Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No opposed, so that motion passes. Up next is Resolution 12, 2024 for the transfer of funds from general funds to capital projects. We had an opportunity to discuss that at our retreat as well. But do we have any questions or discussion? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the transfer of funds from the general fund to the capital projects fund?
I move to transfer funds from capital projects to general.
Second the motion.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, so that motion passes. The last action item is approval of the adult meal prices for the 24-25 school year. Do we have any discussion or questions pertaining to that?
That's less than McDonald's.
And better, healthier for you.
Do we get a lot of the adults?
I think we have a lot of people, a lot of adults do eat our food. Yeah.
Just curious, is that a big change from last year?
Increase? No, it's not a big change.
All right. Any other questions or discussion pertaining to that? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the adult meal prices?
I'll move to approve the adult meal prices.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. No opposed, so that motion passes. Up next is the review of the elementary and middle school handbooks, which we all have in our packets.
You'll notice the technology is getting better. There's QR codes in those handbooks now. Now we just need to see if people can actually work them.
Have we run into problems with that?
I don't think we had them last year.
Yeah.
Did you have one? Did you have one last year?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, our secretaries have been phenomenal about reaching out to parents to make sure that they're signing in for Parent Square. And then they get a list and then they reach out again. And then they get another list and they just keep dwindling down to the list to make sure everybody is signed up for it. So, yeah, they're doing a fantastic job about it.
Do we have any changes or anything that need to kind of be called out in this? They seem pretty similar previously.
OSPI put out new language that we had to
Oh.
include this year. So
Do you Is the new language brought in here by any chance?
What section was that in? Is, expulse, was it
Yeah,
harass?
so I know for middle school, and probably really close for elementary, it's like page 18, I think. For the middle school handbook, and it's probably pretty close for elementary about that page as well.
The harassment and
Yeah,
intimidation.
And what we did is, Amy sent us the language that needed to be put in there from OSPI, and nice job. I literally copied it, we copied, pasted, formatted it to make it look pretty. But other than that, and then updated the names in there and things like that, but it is exactly what OSPI is mandating needs to be in our. The other thing that you'll find in there is that all of the attendance pieces are also updated in there as well. Lacey and Dan worked on those a lot last year to make sure that all of that was brought up to date and things like that. So, and I apologize, I'm speaking out of turn. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so Lacey and Dan brought a lot of those everything up to speed as far as that goes. So you will see all of the attendance has been updated as well. So that piece, and then the discipline should all be updated. If you've seen anything from OSPI,
Mhm.
that is all in there as well. So those are the three big things: the attendance, the harassment, intimidation, bullying, and then the discipline. So attendance, discipline, harassment, yeah.
We still have our HIB reporting, document online, so anybody can go on and, report any harassment, intimidation, bullying.
And then so for the attendance piece, we had discussed in the retreat, changing the time frame for like truancy board things and bumping that up. Is that reflected in here, or is that
No,
like
they
a
had
policy?
they had their documents done prior to the retreat, so we
Okay.
will be having a conversation in our next.
Yeah, and that absolutely, since those have not gone out to families yet, after you have a chance to look through it and bring back suggestions, we absolutely can make those modifications for whatever you need us to do.
I think we talked about I'll look at my notes, it was like 7 days.
And then 10, yes,
and-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just look at that and see, that might reflect already what Dan has in there, I'm not sure as well.
Okay. Great. Any conversation or questions pertaining to the handbooks?
So is there anything in here regarding truancy?
Yes, that's in the attendance piece. If you go through, it does talk about truancy. It defines excused absences and unexcused absences, and at what level those would go to truancy. So that is there. And it does talk about the community engagement board in there. And it talks about the different procedures and things that we would use to make sure to help families get back to track and things like that.
Nice.
For our changes that we did at the last meeting on the number.
No, those
That's
haven't, but
They're not yet.
I'll go back and look at our notes. I'll go back and look at our notes and we'll change. it. They
Well,
haven't
we
done
try
it
to go
yet.
through them as soon as kids come in on September
Fourth.
4th. The people, all of the families go through them and things like that. So if we could have it, recommendations done by that point in time, then that would be good.
Great.
I don't know how feasible that is, but
I think that should probably be okay. Is that something that we would be able to add? I guess probably not actually for the executive session, but maybe we can have like a special meeting if we needed to vote on that ahead of time as well.
For our next meeting.
Yeah.
That was why I was asking.
Yeah.
Getting it done.
Okay.
I wasn't paying attention. That was what-
Any additional comments, questions, concerns?
We were just saying we have no idea what you all are talking about.
Oh, sorry. The session on Tuesday, but then like we were talking about the updates that we talked about in the retreat as far as the number of days for the truancy
Right.
board and stuff. Oh, sorry, I did not see your hand up.
That's okay. Just a couple questions. I have the younger school, she has the bigger school.
Yeah.
It talks about electronic.
We need to ask people, would you come,
Oh, I'm sorry.
would you
mind
come forward?
using-
I can't hear anything.
They're loud and boss.
Well, I really am serious. I can't hear.
Yeah.
It's not, it's genuine. I am literally hearing impaired and I can't.
I did just have brain surgery, so I'm not real solid. I just had brain surgery.
Oh, wow.
So I did.
I know.
Scar.
I know.
Cool scar. So I struggle. I had brain surgery recently.
Oh, so,
So I struggle walking right. Just, okay. So the question was, is the older kids have electronic passes for restrooms? Is that a
Correct.
real thing?
Yes, so what we use, and that came out of also the pandemic piece of not wanting to have kids touch, the same thing. But what we use is, we have a spreadsheet that has a link that has a form, and it's a Google form, and the students fill out that Google form when they want to use the restroom. It tells us what time they're leaving the classroom. It automatically populates that, what classroom they're coming out of, and where they're going to, and then they go to the bathroom, and then they come back and they fill it out and they have returned. So we can actually search by student when they are exiting the classroom, when they have returned, how many minutes they've been gone, and things like that.
So it's a big brother watching.
Well, it's, instead of using the plastic passes, I actually have to be honest with you, I maybe checked it 3 times last year at the very most. It was just a method of tracking how many times.
I think it's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
just in my head, I'm like, hey, that's big
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah,
Well-
it's a good tracker because we have some students who will want to use the restroom all the time. And then it's like, you bring it to their attention and they're like, no, I don't use it that often. But then I can call it up and say, actually, you've used it 3 times right before lunch in each of your different class periods. And let's talk about what you're doing because you're gone 15 minutes each time.
Okay, so the
Yeah.
second piece is the little kids thing. I was looking at cell phone policy, and I know a lot of school districts have changed their cell phone policy as like a no cell phone
Yeah.
zone. And you guys are trusting the kids to put on their backpacks, right? Turn them off, put them in their backpacks.
Yes.
And then I also saw in here that says, hey, if I believe a child has done something inappropriate with a cell phone, you have basically given away your rights. I have the right to look at your cell phone. Is written in here. Okay.
Yeah, so what we do is we ask students to, Amy has a particular way that she'll have this, but at the middle school, if a student is using their cell phone in some way or shape or form, they bring it to the office. We have a locked drawer. We have them deposit it in the locked drawer. We write their name and details about the cell phone. And then the parent is contacted that the cell phone is in the drawer and that the student needs to, or the parent needs to come pick that cell phone up.
Okay, so the real question I have is, when you look at those two, there's a liability standpoint, or to me, in my head, as if I were a parent,
Yeah.
I'm a parent, but they're like 40, so, have you ever had to have a liability discussion with a parent that you make them sign these, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It says, I have read this, so
Yes.
that's the legal
Yes.
piece of this to protect you guys. And that's really the question, is that enough to protect you from big brothers watching you go to the bathroom or things of that nature? So that was all the question, was if you
Yeah.
ever had to defend it,
Right, right.
right? Because it is big brother-ish.
Well,
Yeah.
Sue, I think the other thing too is we've had vandalism. in
Oh, no, I
that.
love it, don't get me wrong.
So this will also help.
I'm all about
with that, you know,
accountability.
I mean,
But it's more of the, from a legal standpoint, is that enough
Yeah.
for the parents? That signature in the back,
I don't know.
We have not been challenged on it in any district I've been in, and this is my 19th year as a soup. We have not been challenged. Well, if they do have an argument, we pull out and just say, hey, remember back on September 4th, you said you read and understood this document. So we really haven't. The only challenge we might have is that if there's some kind of a mistake in there, and like a legal reference that somebody catches, that we just,
right, and that's what,
That's-
and I don't disagree with it.
yeah, but we have not had a challenge.
Liability standpoint, is that enough to defend the district?
Yeah.
If you take Johnny's phone from you and you start searching it,
Oh,
is the
Oh, no, yeah, well, no.
legal perspective?
good point that you bring up. I'm so glad you actually mentioned that. But one thing we don't do is search cell phones. So I really talk to my teachers a lot about how I really don't even want them to touch student cell phones. I prefer if something happens in a classroom or if something is out in here, students actually will bring their own individual cell phone to the office themselves, put it in that locked drawer. We don't touch it. We sign that it's been dropped in, and then we contact the parent. But at no time do we ever go through a student's cell phone?
Don't you also ask them to turn it off before
We do.
before it goes in the drawer?
We do,
Yeah.
yes, because it's rang before, and then we're like, seriously, it's sitting in there ringing or going off or whatever else. But one of the things that we make a big deal about is that if there is something that a student wants to show me on their cell phone, like maybe they have screenshots of something that was inappropriate that was sent to them or something, we also let parents know that their student has shared something on their cell phone with me or with Mr. Moore or something like that, but we don't touch and go through someone's personal cell phone ever.
Okay, but what this says is by bringing a cell phone or other electronic device to school or school sponsored by the student and their parent guardian consent in the search of the device when officials have a reasonable suspicion that it will reveal a violation of law or school rules.
Yeah,
This gives you the authority. That's why I said, hey, from a legal standpoint,
yeah.
right, you defend this if you do this, because you have written it in there that it's okay for you to do.
Yeah,
So that was all my question was, can you defend it from a board perspective?
Joel might have an answer.
In that case, we would have, the sheriff present.
yeah, I would say Deputy Matt.
So we would have a law enforcement officer.
That's all.
there with us.
That's it.
Yeah,
Did you hear
Thank
me?
you for bringing those up. Those are good.
Yeah, good points.
No.
Sure.
We love that. Thank you.
She was worried about liability.
Yeah, I got.
All right.
Those are totally the hot button issues too. That
Yeah.
especially.
And great questions.
That's a lot of detail. I mean, that's,
Okay. Up next, we have new business. Do we have any new business to cover or share?
Not
No?
necessarily new business, but I do have a question, like, so with the questions just brought up, has this gone through our attorneys or anything?
No.
To review,
No.
just to
We
make
just-
sure
we
we're
haven't had that.
covered?
Yeah, we haven't had that as a practice to send it to our attorneys.
If
Most of
it
them are
was, though,
Most of them are referenced through either RCWs or WACs. So, yeah, we haven't had that. They're
The other
pretty,
thing that you'll see in there too, when you look through the handbook, is you will see policy attached to that. And so a majority of the handbook is attached to whatever our policies are. And that is that extra little bit of, whatever that might need to be in there too. I mean, you'll find things in the handbook like this is our start and end time, and things like that as well too. But when it comes time to look at some of the big issues that are really in there. you will find-
discipline, attendance,
Yeah,
suspending and
you'll find those
expulsion.
are all attached to the district policies that we have in place.
and the policies are all available online, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good question.
Will this be reviewable, signable, electronically?
Yes.
Okay, because this is a lot of
Paperwork.
paperwork.
So we don't give out the actual handbook itself. Amy will figure out how it's gonna be done at the elementary school, but at the middle school, because I don't know what the interview will be, so I don't want to speak for Amy with the new system. So at the middle school, we review the handbook in the advisory time. And we take 3 days to do that. Our first 3 days of school, we build in extra time during the advisory time to do things like our PBIS system and then to review what's in the handbook. We also have to go over the bullying and harassment policy and, all of those different pieces as well. So there's kind of like some nuts and bolts that every student needs to be exposed to. But part of that is going through the handbook. And then we send the back page as a physical page home with students.
Okay,
So there is a way, some students and their parents signed online. And then there were many students who brought back home just that single paper copy, and we just kept that on file as well.
Is the handbook then online too?
Yeah, the handbook will be online as well.
Stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. How about any board share items? No?
I'll say thank you to everyone that participated and filled the bus, and
Yes.
thank you guys for still coming to all the meetings. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
just thank you everyone for all your hard work and getting ready for this school year.
Yeah,
And thank you,
I'm
Nolan,
excited.
for all your hard work stepping into your new position and all you guys taking on your new roles and everything. I appreciate all of you.
It's a lot, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good year.
Yes.
Okay, if there's nothing left to share, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I can do it, Jim.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed, and that concludes tonight's meeting.
Still want to leave?